All right. Welcome to the Buck and Mike Experience,
Experience sports like you've never had before.
where the buck stops.
And the mic drops.
Bam. It's just even when we take a week off now, we can still
just
flow that
smooth
through.
sailing.
People don't realize how struggling the early days of that when we were like, "What is our name again?" Hold on, let's restart that. All right, guys and girls, welcome to the show. Mike, how are you doing this week?
Great.
Good week.
Fantastic.
Cool.
Fantastic.
Coming off a double week here, because obviously we had a missed week. I had a work gala. Had to go and get all dressed up and do all the 9 yards. It was fun. Yeah, we enjoyed ourselves. Got to meet some of the big wigs. I'm not much of a brown noser, but like you have to pretend to be.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Especially
hi.
it's something like that you have to.
Once you hit the corporate
Yeah.
world, like I've had to accept the fact that I have to just do a little smoozing, and it's taking some work for me to do. But hey, we'll figure it out.
I mean, when you're in something like that, you have to,
And I would
especially
never-
in that environment, you have to like kind of get your face
You
in
do.
there. And
You have to be
everything,
willing
so
to
it's
open up.
Totally
And
understandable.
I think for some of them it shows when you're not scared to introduce yourself to these people. Like I guess they see a little bit of a look what he's willing to. He wasn't scared to walk up to me. He must do a great job walking into the room of what he's doing for his job. So, I mean, I will say I opened a brand new property in Canada, and the entire head of my brand was there. Like I was the first. I'm the first specialist. We opened it up, and he was there to do the opening, and we cleared $600,000 in the first month and a half, which is insanely good for the brand that I'm on, because I'm on the economical brand. So just saying, I'm figuring something out. If it wasn't for S&K Consulting, I wouldn't have.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Plugging.
I like
All
that.
right. So with that said, let's get to the action of football. I mean, there's a ton of stuff to talk about. There's
Yeah, there is.
last
There
week of
is.
baseball. There's the Dame Lillard move, but at the end of the day, football runs America.
Football
So,
rules, especially
It
this time of
runs.
year.
I mean, our plan. We're gonna we'll hit on a little bit of the stuff we've seen the last week. By the way, the Dolphins just scored again, and then we're. But first, we'll probably hit the slate of games and kind of touch on it. So we're gonna just start with the Thursday Niners.
Yeah.
Thursday night, I'm
we'll
gonna be
start
honest.
that
If
one.
you'd have told me the Thursday night game what we're gonna see this week was the scheduled week 1, I'd have said, "Oh, that's a laugher. The Lions are gonna smoke them."
Yeah.
Jordan Love, boy,
Looks
oh
legit.
boy,
He
he's
looks
looking
legit.
good.
I was not on that train.
I was not either.
I thought he was going to be a guy, and
Oh, he's that guy.
apparently they knew. So
They've got
they
something, and I'll say, I mean, now I think it's the comeback win last week. I think it's a different story if Carr doesn't get hurt now, because it was 17-0 when Carr went down. So
I mean, to
obviously,
be fair, the Green Bay's still missing.
True.
Two
Aaron
of their
Jones.
offensive linemen,
And Aaron Jones is out.
and Christian
Packers-
Watson.
Christian Watson
I mean,
hasn't
they were
touched the
down
field.
too. So
he might as well have been on IR at this point, because I don't
Yeah,
think
yeah.
they've already basically said he's not playing Thursday against the Lions either. So
Elton Jenkins and Bakhtiari are out too.
yeah, see, so
It's
and then
the same again.
Lions looking good. I mean, they kind of struggled off week 2, came back week 3, got a win. I mean, they still. I think this division will be closer than we probably originally predicted,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I still think the Lions take
I
it.
still think the Lions take it.
But I do
And,
think it'll be
well,
entertaining.
My boy Sam Laporta is looking good.
He has. I put him in a fantasy football parlay for this weekend. I need him to catch 4 passes.
Hey, he's getting it.
I
He's
feel like
getting
I was safe with that.
He's getting it. He was. I said this a few weeks ago. He was the guy that I stashed on every single league that I
He
got.
was.
He was the last person I picked.
He
I
was
was
that
like, I'm
backup
not
tight end
letting
that he held
him.
on to.
I'm not letting him go because I've heard so much good stuff about him.
Yeah.
And the Cowboys wanted him, and the Lions snuck up and got him in the draft. And I was like, this guy is going to be important.
Yep. And
So
they've been
I
using him.
made sure I had him.
Now if only they can
Everyone
figure
was
out.
all like, "Oh, I was going to go get Laporta." I'm like,
Got him. I would say at now point they can figure out how to use Jahmyr Gibbs better, because it does feel like last week he
Yes.
looked better, but weeks 1 and 2, I have to say, it doesn't feel like he's jumping out the gate like we want him to. Week 1 he
For
had
some
some
reason-
flashes.
For some reason, they wanted to slow put him out slowly.
Yeah, and
For
like,
some odd reason.
And it
And,
was
with
just odd,
Montgomery
especially-
going down, you would think, bam, we're
give him the
all
rock.
right, dude.
We've got to get
But-
going. There's no reason.
You're like, no, we're still going to take it slow.
I'm wondering if they think their division's that winnable that they don't have to push the envelope.
That or they just don't think he's ready.
I mean, that could be the case too. I mean, that is.
I mean,
The Dolphins
It's
gave
very scary.
not on that game yet, but the Dolphins only gave 1 carry week 2 to Devin Akane. Didn't play him
Yeah.
week 1 as a healthy scratch, and then decided week 3, okay, you're ready, and thank God he was ready.
O.H.N.
Yeah.
A-Chain. No longer
A-Chain.
A-Chain.
Yeah, no
It's
longer
A-Chain.
A-Chain. So with that said,
Thumbs down.
I think we both said we're going Lions on Thursday night game.
Yeah, I'm definitely going Lions on that
Cool.
one.
Then we'll move into Sunday, which the first game on my listing here is the Dolphin-Bills game.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm showing Dolphins-Bills noon kickoff.
No. First game is Jacksonville.
Oh,
Atlanta,
that's right. They have
London.
the time round. That's right.
Yeah, we got the
London
Disney game, or
the Toy
the
Story game. Yes.
So that's the very first one. Wow, that's at 8:30 in the morning.
Yes,
Woo!
8:30 in the morning. My
Set
wife
your
and
lineups.
kids are stupidly excited about this game, and they're like, "You're gonna watch it, right?" I'm like, "One, I might have corporate challenge. We'll see. Two, I don't know. That's just weird. They say it's gonna look just like it, so they're gonna be little like toy soldiers on the sideline watching like sideline players. Like, what's that? Is there a chain gang? Like, Rexy gonna come running out there as the umpire? Like, I'm trying to figure out how we're gonna do this, but it will be. I mean, it'll be fun to see it for a minute. It's not something I would want to watch the whole game of.
Yeah, I would definitely check it out though. I'm
It
definitely
is-
going to.
it's
I'll
a-
probably check out the first
quarter,
quarter,
and then I'll go to
maybe
NFL
just the
Network
first-
and watch the whole game.
Maybe
Yeah.
just the first drive, and if I like it, I'll continue watching it. But for the most part, I'm probably going to only watch that first drive.
Yeah, that's what I'm with you. I mean, it isn't a bad game. The Jags, on the faces that they just haven't looked good.
Yeah.
The Falcons are getting wins behind, I guess, a defense and a running game. But, like, it's kind of a get-right game if you're the Jags because London is essentially a second home. So,
It
and
is.
you need to
It
get
is.
right because this is not what the Jacksonville team, I don't think anyone expected.
No, not at all. Like, who we saw in week 1 is not who we've seen in the last 2 weeks.
Exactly.
Those are two different teams. Like, we saw, Sunshine is turning into the guy that we were expecting him to.
Exactly.
And then the last 2 weeks have been not Sunshine, but have been tons of just focus drops by these receivers.
It's been a lot of mental mistakes.
No reason for it.
Yes.
So-
there was the Calvin Ridley just wide open
Yeah.
on the post corner to the end zone that he just was like, what are we doing? Like,
So,
we can't have
Hopefully
that.
they can get that under control. Because if they do, they would pretty much, I wouldn't say they're unstoppable, but they'd be back to who we thought they were.
Exactly. And they're still in a spot where that division is still very winnable. I mean, right now, I think second in that, or the team leading that division is the Colts, who give it to Richardson. He's looked really good.
Yeah.
Give it to Gardner Minshew because I'm always gonna. Coming in and getting wins and looking, I mean, he did have the run out the back of the end zone a bit going on there. Little Dan Orlovsky.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think you're right. This is a good game for them to get right, go to London, a place where that's like, it's basically a home game
This
for
is
them.
probably also a game that Bijan is probably going to go off on because the Jaguars' run D has not looked or the way that they've defended running backs has not looked good.
It's true. And Bijan
So-
didn't have his best game last week. Only
No.
33 yards week 3. Definitely a chance to kind of bounce back and right the
I
ship
think so,
because
but I hope he does really well, but I'm hoping Jacksonville takes this just because I like I like Atlanta too, but
yeah,
I'd rather see Jacksonville.
it's a battle of teams that I've never had an issue with, so
Yeah.
I don't mind either way. I think that I'd rather see Jacksonville win because I just want to see the Falcons get someone that can get Kyle Pitts the ball.
Exactly.
Because I'm just
Or just get rid of Kyle Pitts.
I mean, I think Drake London's seen 3 targets all season. Like
No, last week he got a ton.
they finally started working him the ball. I know week 2 it was
let me
just
look it
not like they just forgot he played football for them.
Yeah, week 1 and week 2 he didn't get
Yeah,
barely anything.
and then I know
Last
then we've seen
week-
plenty of footage of Kyle Pitts doing the boom wide open and just not look at him.
Oh,
so,
actually, he got 6 targets last week, but only 2 catches.
yeah,
Kyle Pitts had 9 targets with 5 catches.
yeah, which that all comes down to just bad quarterback play.
Yeah. And
And
some of
so-
those targets could have just been he was the closest person in the vicinity that it went to.
Exactly.
So they just
And
credited
it could have been he was running from a sack and throwing it away, and that's how you don't get intentional grounding. But no, we've talked about. We still agree though the Falcons did the right thing. It wasn't a great quarterback draft. You run Ritter out. He did okay last season. We said we agree with the idea for Washington too. This isn't something that we didn't agree about. We've talked about. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Who knows? Maybe Ritter finds something and turns it around. And I mean, then you're looking at 1-3, and that's not a spot to be.
Nope.
So all right, now we run into the noon kickoff games.
Yeah. Yes.
All
And
right.
I don't know if you know this, but Miami just scored again.
Yeah, oh my God, again. And just so you're clear, hey, you know why you need to bounce back, Bijan? Because Devin A-Chain said, I didn't need week 1 and 2 to make my Rookie of the Year case. He said, give me week 3 and I can come fight you for that award.
You ain't lying.
Boy,
Good Lord.
200 total yards. The Miami Dolphins right now have the 6th fastest recorded speeds in football.
And it's crazy that they have that.
They're so
absolutely
fast.
Crazy.
It is ridiculous the amount of speed that team. They are the definition of speed kills. Like you look at them and you're just like, have fun. And that's saying Waddle hasn't even shown up. Waddle missed last week. So mind you, the Dolphins hung 70.
Did he get a full practice in this week?
I don't think he has yet.
He hasn't.
Yeah,
Okay,
he hasn't yet.
I've seen a notification
I
with
think
him,
he
but
was
I
still
didn't look
listed
at
questionable, but he's still in concussion
Okay.
protocol, I think. And so, no, they hung 70 points without what a lot of people see as a guy that could be a wide receiver 1 on other teams. You went out there with Braxton Berrios, Robbie Anderson,
Robbie Chosen.
goes and grabs him one.
Chosen. Wait. Robbie Anderson with a Y. Robbie Anderson with an I. Chosen Anderson, and now Robbie Chosen.
Yeah. And the best part about Robbie Chosen, or whatever we're going with this week is that you'd have thought by that point in the game, with it already being a 63 or I think it was 56 at that point, that the Broncos would have folded and thrown backups in. No, that was Pat Surtain that he toasted.
Yeah.
Like he toasted what people call one of the top corners in football.
He was done at that point.
I mean, he's clearly checked out.
Yeah.
But Jerry Jeudy on Twitter saying, "Don't talk to me for a week," and blocking Tua, like it's just it's so great. But then you look at the Broncos, just go on the other side of the coin and all that turmoil. The other side of that coin says, damn, like, was Hackett really that bad? But Dolphins, Bills.
But yeah, Dolphins, Bills.
We'll slide it in.
Yeah, Dolphins, Bills. Honestly, Bills, they're hit or miss on the way that they look. Like, Josh Allen sometimes looks like the guy that he was last year or 2 years ago, and then sometimes he looks like
he's definitely bounced back from week 1. The last 2 weeks he's looked a lot better. A little nerve wracking as the guy.
I think Nagy is calling better plays.
That could be into
and I think
also.
that's the biggest thing is that the plays are actually a little bit better because Nagy's.
I'll say
not doing well.
The Vegas line is Buffalo's a 2.5-point favorite, but normally the home team gets a 3-point spot on the favorite line, which means that money line is shifting the Dolphin away.
Okay.
That's just looking at it like that.
I
mean, both teams have people on their defense that are productive players, but I still have a feeling that it will be an offensive game.
Oh, it'll definitely be. Yeah.
I don't know that the Bills, though they have a pretty good defense up front, they don't have the back end speed to keep up with Miami.
Over under on that?
46. No,
46?
54.
54.
54. It would be pretty close to that.
Over.
I was gonna say, I can see either team hanging 35 by themselves, and that's over half of it. So.
And that's not just because they put up 70 last week. It's just that's what Miami can do, and that's what Buffalo can do.
And they do it in a blink of an eye.
Man, ain't that the truth?
And then the crazy part is they shut down on defense too. Like 70 points in its own right is impressive, but they made the Broncos just stagnant.
Yeah, that was not a pretty outing by the Broncos. Yeah. And I know Cheyenne has been beating himself up because 2 weeks ago, last week. Not week 3, but week 2, whenever they played, he was all like, this is the Broncos team that I've been waiting to see. And then this week happened, and I was like, is that the same team? I hate you.
I really think that now the Broncos have some pieces, but I think this season's going to show that Sean Payton was nothing without Drew Brees.
Yep.
I think that the narrative is going to be, we never saw Sean Payton be successful when Brees wasn't available. We never saw Sean Payton be successful and he always had Brees, so we wouldn't know what he was like before.
Right.
But I think we're about to find out that Sean Payton's just not that good of a football coach. He had a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah.
I
think he's one of those coaches.
Yeah, and I think that
he just did. He did good enough with what he had.
Exactly. He was
great.
able to drive the ship straight. He didn't go off course because at the same right, if anyone's legacy is getting a boost from this, it is Drew Brees because he never got that MVP. He only got the one Super Bowl. So when you look at Hall of Fame resume, you're going straight off the statistics in a league that became passing and could cause that to be a holdup. I think the more Sean Payton struggles, the easier it is to say Drew Brees is that guy.
It's easier to look at. Yeah, you can definitely look more at that and go, wow, okay. and it does kind of suck because at the same time, you do have someone like Tom Brady and Bill Belichick that are in the same situations. The only difference that I see is that Tom Brady went to a loaded Tampa Bay team with talent every single spot on the field.
The whole field was ready to play football.
He went to an all-star team and was a quarterback for an all-star team and won. So it was hard to judge those. But with Drew Brees, Drew Brees was really good with the Chargers before his injury, and they decided to go with Phillip Rivers and move on from Brees.
Yeah.
So he was already top tier. They just didn't think he was going to be able to last. So
exactly.
They got rid of him. And with Sean Payton, now you see it and you're like, maybe he did just need an elite quarterback to make him look good. Like
somebody that kind of, he kept Taysom Hill around. I mean, was that what he was trying for? Maybe I don't know what he was doing. I can't figure it out. And so, but on the definition of Broncos dysfunction, since we'll roll in, that this next noon game would be the Broncos going against the definition of dysfunction themselves, and that's the Bears. Yeah. And the Bears, with the defensive coordinator just quit because we're not really sure what legal issue he did, but he's gotten there's something involving the FBI.
No, nothing to do with FBI.
Oh, I thought it was FBI.
That was never FBI. All right. The rumor was FBI, but what it actually was the forensics team came in after he told the team that he was going to leave.
Okay.
They brought a forensics team to clean out his computer. So that's what it was, and it's a normal thing for teams to do with personnel that's leaving.
So then you had
it
was
just
situation.
Over exaggeration, and it had something to do with a female partner in the workspace.
Lovely.
So it's nothing terrible.
Okay.
But it was something that I guess was against the rules, kind of like the Celtics coach.
Oh yeah.
So it was something like that.
The Rockets guy now, yeah.
Yeah, so it was something similar to that situation.
Okay.
So he stepped away. How it became the FBI thing was just them bringing those people in to clean the stuff out. That was where it blew up from. So there was never a raid at the facility. There was never a raid at his home. There was none of that.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, but it's
that team is still a dysfunction.
Exactly. You still have a whole mess of stuff. You've got an offensive coordinator that doesn't want to use Fields the way Fields should be used, and we've done some talking as kind of our prep time that it really makes Fields look like worse. I mean, I'm not saying that Fields is this elite guy, but when we all talked about and watched, there was a reason that people thought highly of Fields. Yeah. There's a reason people were putting MVP undercard money on him, is because look at how he finished last season. Look at what his running ability was doing. It was very Lamar Jackson bursted onto the scene. And so the natural thought is watch him take the next step. They got DJ Moore. They bought pieces to upgrade that defense. They did do things to make that team around. And then it's just like they came in and were like, okay, well, now we're going to do this. And this isn't working.
Yeah.
And
see, where I have an issue is I don't think as a team, even though the Texans are doing it and it's working, as a team, you shouldn't bring in a defensive-minded head coach with a young rookie to first-year quarterback.
Yes.
You need to have an offensive-minded coach that is going to work with him and get him going. Because you don't need your offensive coordinator or your quarterback coach to do it. You need your head coach to be able to get in there and working on it.
Exactly.
And your head coach is a defensive guy. You're taking away so much stuff that you could be helping because you're the authority. And now you're no longer able to help because you coach defenses.
Exactly. Because
and
you're
that's
having
the
to go and
downfall
deal with the defense
of Chicago Bears and their entire history of having strong defenses and
they don't even have that.
Polls.
The worst part is their defense.
Nothing but defensive players.
Yeah. And the worst part is that defense is probably still worse than the offense.
It's not good.
The defense is still you've got Jaquan Brisker. He's the only guy that has ever shown moments that he's just been all right, that guy's been pretty good. He could start on most teams in this league. Yep. But then you look at the rest of the team, you're just that kind of sucks.
I'm having to look because I forgot.
Who else is on the defense? Because I can't think of any names off the top of my head.
So I know they brought in quite a few guys from free agency.
They've made some moves, but it's just they're not.
Yeah, Jack Sanborn and
Sanborn
Johnson.
came off.
Jalen Johnson had a good rookie year, but I think last year was the second year he didn't do well, so this is his third year.
You got Jack Sanborn, like you said, Tremont Edmonds. They brought him in, I believe.
Yeah, Tremaine Edmonds, TJ
Yannick
Edwards.
Ndakwe. He's one of those guys
Marcus Walker.
Ndakwe will finish the season with 8 sacks like he always does, but he doesn't stick around. But no, the team has.
I think they signed him to a 2-year deal.
Oh, did they actually give him 2 years this year? Okay. Most people only give him that 1-year deal for some reason.
But yeah,
I mean, I'll give him this. Roshan hasn't looked bad. He's shown to be a productive player.
But he's one of those, like, so I had him in fantasy and then I dropped him because what I was hearing was Roshan is going to take over for Herbert. The problem is that he's in a bad offense that doesn't really care about the running backs running the ball that much because they also have a quarterback that runs the ball and they don't pass very well. So even though he's going to be the starter, he's probably going to be super volatile. And he has kind of taken over, and that's the part that sucks is the offensive coordinator is just so bad that even every point, even the bright spots don't look that good. Like they're blemishes.
The brightest thing that we've seen come off of a Bears offense this season was that the rookie quarterback in the preseason, Tyson Baggett, looked really good.
Yeah.
He's sitting as their third guy. Like, if all goes to crap, I wouldn't be shocked if we see him come in at some point because the Bears just give it up.
Yeah, yeah. Because once it's out of hand, there's no point to even, getting Justin Fields hurt, and then you can try to trade him and ruin another quarterback.
Maybe somebody else can do something. Because I just don't think we're in agreement that we don't think Fields is the problem. I think that Fields could go to many other situations and he could be a better football player. Not that he's perfect, but he could be better. So then with the Lamar Jackson comp, we'll slide down here to the Ravens and Browns.
Ravens are probably going to get the crap beat out of them by that Cleveland defense.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I told y'all that Cleveland defense wasn't one to play with, and they have consistently have just been out there. They are the definition of what the Jets could be if you could get average quarterback play. Because Deshaun Watson has just been average at best. He has not been anything special. He's started weekly to look a little better. Like, it's just that you want him to take that big jump to being closer to what he was. But as long as he doesn't lose them any games, that defense is stupid.
Yep.
And it's winning football games.
It's so bad that you got Myles Garrett running from one side of the line to the other and watching tight ends following. I was that's embarrassing.
Yeah, and then the worst part is that at some point, Garrett's going to put his hand in the ground on the same side as Darius Smith, and you're going to block them both? Good luck. So, no, I will say the Ravens haven't looked bad, but I don't think their defense is nearly as good as the normal Ravens defense in the past.
They had a lot of linebacker injuries.
Yeah.
So they just brought in Kyle Van Noy.
Yeah, that's right. I saw that. And then the passing more offense hasn't seemed to be taking hold yet. Like, I think they're lining up in more passing, but I mean, Lamar's still running the ball 32 times this season already. Yeah. Like, that's not... Now, you're giving him freedom, which is what the Bears should be.
There's not a lot of change from what the offense is now to what it was last year, and I think a lot of that is just because of the comfort level of Lamar. Like, he's not comfortable being a legit quarterback. Like, that's what they brought him in for, the offensive coordinator for, was to change it up so it would be more passing. But he's just not comfortable with that yet.
And I don't know that, I mean, outside of Flowers, OBJ's been hurt, and I think we kind of can establish at this point that I think OBJ is on the done side of his career. But outside of Flowers, they haven't really, Andrews missed week 1. He bounced back the last couple weeks. He started to look a little bit better. So weapons could be a problem.
His comfort.
Yeah, there have been an issue with weapons because Dobbins got hurt. It's the same carousel of injured running backs every year. Dobbins, Edwards, and Hill. Yeah, there's the 3 of them the last 3 years. It's been the same guys, and every one of them will go, this guy's got it, bam. This guy, bam. If any team needed to go and draft a running back in the first round,
it was them.
It's the Bears. It's the Ravens.
That's who I had going for Bijan.
Yeah,
before he ended up going way earlier.
If I'm the Ravens and I think that I can compete, especially with the struggles that we're seeing in Cincinnati right now, because Burrow is clearly not right. He's just not right. And if it's affecting every bit of his offensive play style. If with the struggles that you're seeing right now coming in Cincinnati, you have to say this is now. Like now. The reports are that the Colts cannot fix the relationship with Jonathan Taylor. He still wants out. He's about to come off IR. If you're the Ravens, you proved last year that you're willing to go get a disgruntled player, pay his ass, and put him on your team to be better with Roquan. Go.
Yeah.
This is the guy.
Because
if you can put Jonathan Taylor next to Deshaun Watson, you've now given him a complete back that could potentially.
Deshaun Watson?
No, it's not. I mean, Lamar Jackson. Sorry. You can put him next to him, and that's going to give him that complete back. Now you have a running back you can trust. You have a quarterback that you trust. You have a tight end. You have one receiver at least.
Yeah, because Rashad Bateman is.
Yeah, Bateman's been and he's not even hurt. He just doesn't look like any kind of third. You thought he'd be a decent slot.
I thought he was going to be a really good receiver when he came out of Minnesota.
Yeah,
I thought he was going to be great. But
it just hasn't clicked. And so, and he was blaming everybody else all offseason when they brought in all the guys. So this should have been your shut up and step up, and he didn't do it. So I think the Browns take it as a home game, and then with that said, we kind of
jump right into Joe Burrow not looking good.
Joe Burrow not looking good, and he's going to run up against a team. This is another get-right game. If you're Joe Burrow, the one thing going for you right now is that the next couple of weeks are a very generous schedule for the Bengals.
Yes.
This is your chance to kind of get right. The problem is the O-line, even with the money they invest in it, I don't know what it is with the Bengals, but they try to block, and they cannot.
Yeah.
Like, they go out and they get big-name guys. They go make moves to upgrade the offensive line, and then every season it's like, guys, what are we doing? I'm on my ass. I'm always hurt. Now, the calf strain happened in practice. It wasn't because he was rushed. Fluke occurrence. Cool. But it's clear that calf strain is affecting him.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's on his drop back leg.
Yep.
Because of the rush, he can't escape and make extra things happen like we've seen Burrow do. That's one of the things. Burrow is very Mahomes-like, where he's got the arm talent to make something happen with it.
You're kind of at this point now where you probably need to look at resting him. So you can try to pick it later on in the year and go, look, we're going to rest him for 1 or 2 weeks. Let it heal.
I think
then go on it.
I think they have the week 7 bye week. Is their bye.
Okay, so
they've got a few weeks to get there. And then when I was looking, their schedule coming up it's the Titans, the Cardinals, the Seahawks, the 49ers. So the next 2 weeks are pretty favorable matchups. But if you're not right by Seattle, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, even if that's a home game. Now, that's even saying that that's a home game where Seattle has to come from West Coast to East Coast. So that's even a bigger, advantage because of the time travel that they have to deal with. But then you go to, then you have your bye week, and then you go to San Francisco.
Bye week on 49ers.
So you've got 3 games. I would say if you're going to if you can think you can win a game without Burrow, I think it's Tennessee.
I think it's Tennessee and Arizona.
Yeah, if you think you can pull it off, even if you can get out there and say, okay, Joe, start the game, and play we have the lead, pull him out, and then we started losing, put him back in game. I know that's not going to give the backup much confidence, but who cares? There's a reason he's a backup.
He's a backup.
And so, I mean, and they did just bring in, I know he's a practice squad guy, but they brought in A.J. McCarron.
Yeah.
And that's a guy that knows the system, and I'll be honest, A.J. McCarron didn't look XFL, yes, but he didn't look bad. He proved that he can still make all the throws at a competitive football level. I mean, I think A.J. McCarron might be better than Zach Wilson at this point. He might as well run him out there. So,
I still think Cincinnati, even if Joe Burrow would sit this game, I still think Cincinnati could beat Tennessee. Tennessee is just not good.
No, they're not. Their defense is awful.
They're terrible.
It's Derrick Henry, and that's it. And then Derrick Henry can't do anything because the O-line is atrocious.
God awful.
I mean, Tannehill isn't even playing that terrible. It's just that bad around them. DeAndre Hopkins has clearly not going to be the right decision making by him. The other person on the Bengals, before I slide away from it, is T. Higgins hasn't looked right. He had week 1.
Week 1, he
0 catches on 8 targets. Week 2, he had a better game. You thought he was getting it right, but last week he dropped 3 balls in the gut.
Well, week 2, he had that monster.
Yeah, week 2 he had the 8 for 89, 2 touchdowns. You kind of thought he was going to bounce back, but then this week against the Rams, you watched him drop 2 or 3 balls that are just right there, balls that T. Higgins doesn't drop. Yeah. And when your quarterback's as banged up as Burrow is, you have to especially with the elite level guys, kind of like the Dolphins have 2-1, exactly, and a contract year, and you're looking to get out of it because they don't plan to pay you. Y'all got to both be that next level. Jamar showed that this week.
Yeah,
this week, Jamar came out and said, remind y'all why I'm a top 3 guy. T. Higgins needs to show everyone why he's a top 10 to top 15 level talent. Because without those pieces, they're not going to do anything. Mixon actually looked better this week.
Yeah, he did.
Mixon had a good game. He's another guy that's got to help Joe Burrow out.
Yeah,
so,
he's going to have a tough game against Tennessee's run defense, though. That's the one thing that they're actually good at.
That is true. They will hold the run. And Mixon isn't like a bursting runner. He's a grinding runner. So
yeah, he's going to have a tough time with that.
With that said, we can slide into this week's opponent of the Rams.
Yeah, which Indianapolis Colts.
The Bengals. Rams versus Colts. I'll say, I don't think we know who's starting yet this week. It sounds like Anthony Richardson's been practicing, but he's not out of protocol.
But he's not out of protocol.
Okay,
so there's a good chance that Minshew is going to start.
I don't understand the logic and why you have someone practicing first-team reps until they're out. Because if there's any chance he's not going to play,
it's non-contact.
Yeah, but I would want whoever my QB1 is going to be getting all the first-team reps. Because right now, if you're the Colts, that's a winnable game.
Hoping that he's going to be able to clear.
No, true.
So they're like, we're going to get you ready for this, so that game time, you're going to be out.
I see what you're saying. That makes sense. I just know that if you're the Colts right now, you're doing way better than anyone expected you to do.
Yeah.
You're looking. I mean, you're the favorite to go 3-1 at this point. I would assume.
No.
You don't think they beat the Rams?
No. I'm taking Los Angeles.
Okay. I would say the Rams
have looked really good.
They really have looked pretty good.
Surprisingly good.
And the story of the league is Mr. Efficiency himself, Puka Nacua, who's been out there. I mean, this week was a quiet game in compared to week 1 and 2 with 7 catches, I believe it was. Kid's been out there balling. Stafford, I'll have to say, he hasn't been getting it into the end zone necessarily. He's got 4 picks, but Stafford has looked better. Did you see the rumor about the Jets trying to get Stafford before they got Rodgers?
No, I didn't see that.
I saw a thing that said that the Jets called the Rams and said, "What can we give you to get Stafford?" And because they wanted to go after the guy that they thought could win it now.
Yeah.
And the Jets and the Rams said no. McVay was like, if I'm going to be here, I'm going to stay to be with a chance to win. And with Stafford, I feel like I have that chance.
Oh, okay.
So he shut it down. But, I mean, how Stafford's played, if you put him in that Jets offense right now, boy, it would have changed a lot of things.
Yeah.
So
1,000%.
But I mean, nothing special about that game. I think you can go on it quick. I think it'll be interesting. If Anthony Richardson does play, I would say Anthony Richardson and Puka Nacua are 2 guys that are making Bijan have to push that Rookie of the Year award because they're both guys that are playing very good. I mean,
surprisingly good.
Yeah, exactly.
I was not expecting that out of him.
I would not have put. Stroud has probably been the best passing quarterback of the rookie class right now, but Richardson hasn't been a bad passer. He's completed in 65% of his passes.
He's surprising from
Florida.
How little that he threw, how few games that he actually started. Now coming to the NFL, he has actually looked really good.
Oh,
if
I could have,
I was so against where he went.
Yeah,
but I'm incredible.
I wish I could have known because I dropped the keeper Michael Pittman, who's the only guy in the league that's had 8 catches every week. Michael Pittman's been balling this season, and it doesn't matter if it's been which quarterback. So it's like, whatever's going on there, I'll say the coaching change is definitely working for the better.
Yep.
That's
100%.
Definitely helping out for them, too.
Definitely.
So that's good to go. Next game would slide down, say Bucks and Saints.
Yeah.
The should be 3-0 Saints.
This one is kind of hit or miss, too, because you got Baker and Jameis, I guess, is going to be quarterback.
So I've actually
Carr is day to day.
Carr says he's going to play if he can play. I've had an AC joint sprain. They gave me an injection and told me to take a week off, and I was good. And that week was literally like, I got the shot on a Friday, and the doc said I could play in a softball tournament on Saturday. I played in a softball tournament Saturday, and then on Sunday, I picked up a ball to throw, and I strained because I had another muscle that inflamed and I had to get a second injection. But that second injection took care of it, and I've never had a problem again. It depends on how severe his AC joint issue is because, like I said, I've lived it. So I think that's something he can come back from. I think, though, the difference in Carr and Jameis was clear and apparent last week. And if Jameis plays this game, the Bucs are 3-1 because the Bucs they didn't look good last week. But the first 2 weeks of the season, Baker Mayfield looked like the guy.
Yeah,
he hasn't looked bad.
He looked efficient. I hate to say it, he looked like Dak. Dak is making the efficient, easy throws that are just
and he's
got
good weapons.
Hitting that.
Baker has a Mike Evans, who's a guy that's proven, has already said that he's going to go out and have a year to prove people that he wants to be a guy. Like, that he's ready to get, he hasn't gotten his respect. Mike Evans has really never gotten the respect he probably deserves.
Receiver every single year.
Every single year. He's never really got the respect he deserves, truly. You've got Chris Godwin. Rachaad White hasn't looked bad in the backfield for them coming out as a pass catcher or a little bit of a runner there. I mean, they've got some weapons. Like, Cade Otton could get used a little more, honestly. That guy is a guy.
He's good.
He's a good. Solid tight end. He's a dude that Travis Kelce on New Heights was talking about how I love that guy. He's got that old school Dallas Clark no glove approach. Like, I don't know. I really think the difference in that game is going to be Derek Carr. Because if it's Jameis Winston, I think Jameis Winston, maybe it was getting thrust into action, but Jameis Winston just kind of proven he's just not the guy. Why?
I mean, there's a reason why they wanted to get someone else in there. Like,
for sure.
He's a guy he's a volatile thrower. Like, he's going to take those chances that other quarterbacks don't because that's who he is.
Yeah.
Saying he's going to cost you games because of it.
100%. The Bucks of all people will tell you that he will do that.
Oh yeah.
So with that, we'll slide into a little NFC East action here. Commanders versus Eagles.
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift has definitely looked like everything that the Lions expected him to be. I think the Lions knew when they traded DeAndre Swift away that he could literally do what he's done for the Eagles.
Yeah, it's just
that is he going to get hurt again? Because he's always hurt.
Yeah.
He definitely makes the Eagles, once the passing game gets a little more confident, because it seems like they're a little lackluster right now.
Very.
I think that the Eagles offense could literally be set up to be better than they were last year. Because I don't know that, I think that if DeAndre Swift can stay healthy, he is a better running back than Miles Sanders.
Oh, yeah.
And to give them an elite runner that at any moment can bust one like him, and getting those offensive weapons going.
The only thing that I have an issue with him is we haven't really seen him do it against, like, great defenses.
Exactly.
Like, they've been a little bit weaker.
They have.
So it's hard to judge what he's doing.
And this is a weekend where he'll get to play a better defense.
But Washington has a good defense.
They have a good defense.
They got a good front line.
Washington got slapped around last week, mostly because Sam Howell had a crap game. He didn't look bad weeks 1 and 2, so I'm not going to write off Sam Howell like we have kind of Desmond Ridder. But last week, the Buffalo Bills kind of went in there and imposed their will.
Yeah.
Howe needs to have a little bit of a bounce back game, but they definitely have a damn good defense. Like, this is a defense that we don't even talk about Chase Young because there's these other guys that are balling.
Jonathan Allen is nuts.
Exactly, and so it'll be a fun game. I think it'll be one to watch. You get that divisional rival atmosphere. You get the Philadelphia. Yeah. I think Philly takes it, but
yeah, I do too. And it's crazy with how different that offense looks just because of the offensive coordinator. Like, you could tell I want to say stink, but it's not stink because they're looking good, just not near what they were.
No.
But you could tell the difference between Steichen's offense with them, and I don't even know who their offensive coordinator is right now.
I don't know either.
But him versus the offensive coordinator right now. And there's a massive difference. Even if you're calling the same plays, like, there's a massive difference on how it's being pushed. The only play that's being called correctly is
that damn tush push.
The what is it called? It's called
goal line dive. I don't know. It's greatest 1 yard gainer in
the
history.
brotherly shove.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah. So they're starting to call it the brotherly shove.
Well, it doesn't fail off.
Because it's a Philadelphia.
The other day they almost did it. Last game they almost ran it from 2 yards out. They almost ran it. Like, that was the longest one I'd ever seen. They're like, 3rd and 1, do it.
It was like a 3rd and 1.5.
I was like,
1
good God, okay. Like, they don't care. And then he just gets on the bodies, rolls around. He's like, first down. So, no, that'll be... and
I do think the Eagles will take that, but it'll be a tougher game than what a lot of people are probably going to think, just because Washington's defense. I do think that Howell's probably going to get sacked like 8 times by the Eagles, because right now he's leading the league in sacks taken.
Yeah.
So he's probably going to get sacked a lot. But the Washington defense is good enough, and the Eagles offense still isn't 100% there yet. So there could be some adjustments of taking advantage of that.
Yeah.
And so I still see a tough game, but I do think the Eagles will be 4-0, unfortunately.
All right. So then we move into Vikings and Panthers. I'm going to have a little fun with a throw out here.
Okay.
If we watch Zach Wilson suck again, I know this is Jets related, and we watch Kirk Cousins go out and just fucking kill it, you don't think the Jets would make it? If the Jets,
I think the Jets would try to make it.
If you're the Vikings, but if you lose this game and you go to 0-4, just saying you lose this game, you go to 0-4. You're the Jets. You were ready to lose your first round pick anyway to win, and you want to save your season. Kirk Cousins is not the problem.
No, not
at all. This dude's thrown for 1,100 yards almost
Kirk
in
Cousins
3 games.
is like,
if he wasn't 0-3, he'd be an
awful.
MVP candidate right now. If you're the Jets, do you call the Vikings and go, listen, here's our first round pick?
I mean, if I'm the Jets, yes, absolutely.
I call the Vikings because if they're 0-4, and it ruins Justin Jefferson fantasy owners. Like, it would break my heart in a million pieces.
But if I'm Minnesota, I'm going, no. Like, we have a really good quarterback.
Yes, but
would you give us a first for, we'll give you a first for one of your defensive players?
Yeah, but if you're on the flip of that coin, if you're Minnesota and you lose this game and once again he balls out and you go to 0-4, and you're going to have now 2 first-round picks if you get the Jets pick. You can still replace.
Be a second-round pick.
Yeah, but now you're replacing your quarterback on a rookie contract in the first round, and then you have more assets because you're essentially saying we're punting the season. If you're 0-4, you're punting the season, and you're in a division where you already think if the Lions win now and they go 3-1.
Carolina though.
I'm not saying that they will either, but I'm saying that if you do, they found a way to lose games this season. They shouldn't have lost to.
I mean, they have.
You can't. If they call you up and say, "Here's a first-round pick," how do you say no to a guy that's going into a free agent contract? If you don't plan on signing him, unless you plan on extending him, then give him his contract extension now and say, "Here's 2 more years on the back end. You've earned it," because it's not Kirk Cousins' fault.
Right.
The media is going to look at it. And Kirk Cousins is going to get crapped on.
That's tough. Like if I'm Minnesota, I'm saying no because I would want Kirk Cousins to stay.
Yes.
If I'm the Jets, I'm absolutely calling to see if I can get it.
Absolutely. If I'm Kirk Cousins' agent and we lose this game and I go out and throw for 325 and I'm at 1,400 yards through 4 games, I'm calling the Jets going, I bet we can make something happen. I'm going to do a little behind-the-scenes phone call action.
I mean, maybe, but if I'm Minnesota, I'm not doing it.
Yeah,
I'm not doing it because I know he's not the problem.
Oh, yeah. I guess
if I was Minnesota, I would give up my first and go, hey, can we have Quinnen? Because we need somebody on defense.
They just paid Quinnen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he ain't going
that's the only call that Minnesota would make.
Yeah.
Because they know that they've got a great duo with quarterback and receiver. And, I mean, he's not young, but he's still got a couple of years left.
Oh, he's only 35? He's 35. So he's got...
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's 35. I mean, but we're seeing these pocket passing quarterbacks go to 40.
That is true, but he's also getting sacked a lot too.
And exactly, and that's why I'm saying that when you look at his situation, he'd get a good receiver if he ended up with the Vikings or the Jets. He's going to have Garrett Wilson. I'm not saying it's Justin Wilson.
Oh, it's tough. It's tough.
I just mean if you're the Jets, your window in the AFC is falling down quick. So you're going to have to, you lose one more game, you're going to have to go out and make the move and then basically say, hey, now we need to win every game.
Yeah. But yeah, if I'm the Jets, yes. If I'm the Vikings, no.
All right. Hell, the price of 1 first-round pick might not be enough.
No, probably not.
I would say with his numbers,
even with him going,
he's gonna be. You're looking at a guy that's an MVP candidate if they were 1-2. That's the difference in 1 win. All right.
So I do think that they'll end up taking this game against Carolina.
I do too. I think they'll get a win there because even as bad as their defense is, I think Carolina's offense still needs Bryce Young.
Another thing is Bryce Young hasn't looked terrible. It's just everything else has. There is nobody getting open. Nobody.
Yeah. Right now, the only thing that Bryce Young's benefited from is underneath stuff to Thielen. Thielen's got 18 catches.
But for some reason, last week Andy Dalton did pretty good.
I was saying Dalton was firing her all over the yard last week. So who knows there?
So they were like, hey, let's call some different plays so Andy Dalton can do good.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
Then we slide down to the next game, which would be Steelers versus Texans.
Yes.
I'm going to say Vegas has Steelers going on the road as a 3-point favorite, and with as good as Stroud's
I'm taking Houston.
I'm taking Houston. Yeah. The Steelers' defense hasn't been Steelers' defense of past.
Nope.
Pickett's been hit or miss. He hasn't really had it this season, what we kind of saw him end last year with. Najee Harris is He hit the Ezekiel Elliott fall off a cliff in 2 years.
You want to know what's crazy? Najee Harris is in 3rd place with the most 15-plus yards run this year.
And yet he still only has 139 yards rushing. That makes up for how many 1-yard runs he has in there. That's insane.
And there's a whole bunch of just like 1 and 2 yards.
Yeah.
But for some reason, he's in 3rd place with the most 15-plus yard runs.
He's dangerously close, in my opinion, to losing that job to Jalen Moore.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Like, there's just
100%.
so lack of... It is very Pollard to Zeke, like, comparison. Like, that's what's happening.
It really is.
And
it's very similar.
Yeah, and then you have Kenny Pickett, who, I guess, kind of very Dakish. Like, that's...
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
with smaller hands.
Yeah, there's the Steelers' offense isn't too far off what... It's just they find ways to win.
And then they, instead of firing Canada, they give him a promotion to work closer with Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
Like, hey, the entire world thinks you suck, so we're going to give you a promotion to work closer with our quarterback to improve everything.
Thank you for what you're doing. That said, back to Stroud, though. Stroud's been firing it. 900 yards passing in 3 weeks so far. Tank Dell, Nico Collins, both have looked very good.
Very good.
They're both guys that you're sitting there going to flex receiver. Like, hey, it's not a bad play.
I might be starting Tank Dell in one of my leagues.
I started Nico last week in a league, and I got a win in it. He didn't have his best week in comparison, but you like the matchup. You got to give it a go. So, I still think the Texans' defense needs some work. I mean, Will Anderson's looked okay, but like there's still some.
Stingley's out.
Stingley's been hurt, so you really can't see that. Yeah, so there's still some work to be done. They're not going to be a contender, but I will say that at one point, if it continues suit, beginning of the season, we would have said Jacksonville's about to run away with this division for the next decade because everything else looks like crap. But now you look at it and you realize Tennessee's about to be the Texans of this division and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, they're going to lose any years of dominant they had for a while there because the Texans are kind of starting to make the right moves. The Colts a year and a half ago, remember, people thought about could be the Super Bowl. Like, forget a year and a half ago.
They were just trying to find a quarterback to plug in to get them
every year. Now they have two that they like. So, and then, hey, they were smart. They knew our starter was injury prone, so get a good backup, and that's what they did. So I'll say though, I think that the Texans are getting to be able to be fun to watch. Like, if they're on TV, it used to be if the Texans were playing, you're like, I don't care to watch this game.
You know who the Texans are? It's funny you said that. In my mind, I was already thinking of, they kind of remind me of the Clippers when CP3 and Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan were young.
Oh, yeah.
Like, when they were young, and it was exciting to watch them just Lob City.
Lob City, baby.
Like, that's kind of what it reminds me of how exciting they are to watch. You're like, you kind of want to watch them because they're exciting to watch.
Yeah, they're fun. Like, they're giving you an entertaining product on the field. So that's good to see. Then we go down to Raiders-Chargers.
For another stinker.
Yeah, because honestly, the Chargers just have god-awful coaching. They haven't figured out that Staley's an idiot yet.
Yeah. Because
Herbert's been, like, not bad. Like, he's not been the issue. Keenan Allen just went nuts this last weekend. Poor Mike Allen is another one of those guys. Mike Williams, sorry. One of those guys that he's got always
every year.
It's very Rashad Penny-like. Like, he's, balling out.
We're sitting here watching that game, and I see him go down. And my brother has him in one league. I have him in 2 leagues. And I was like, he goes, oh man, I think he's hurt his knee. And I'm like, it looks like he's holding his ankle. He should be all right. Like, he usually hurts, somewhere around the knee, but it looks like he's holding his ankle. And then they showed the other ankle, and I saw him holding his head. I was like, we're screwed.
Yeah, he's in trouble. Someone in one of my big money leagues dropped him the week before he got hurt. I put the last $20 that I had in claim bucks to get him. Got outbid, and then he tore his ACL. I was like, whew, that's my last 20, thank God.
Wow.
So, but that was the league where I'm holding Jefferson and all those guys. So I'm like, if I get Mike Williams, I have the best fifth receiver ever. Like, so.
Wow.
Yeah, so I personally caught a lucky break there. Even though he had a great game this week, I didn't need it. But yeah. So I'll say, though, Quentin Johnson hasn't done much, so I think we see more Josh Palmer, in my opinion. I think
Josh Palmer in the short term, Quentin Johnson in the long.
I think they'll start trying to work. Johnson
I think you'll see Palmer these probably first 2 weeks. You'll probably see more of him, and then you'll start seeing Quentin Johnson a lot more as the season gets on, and then less of Palmer.
Eckler's been down since week 1. He hasn't played, and it sounds like he's probably going to miss this week because they have the bye next week anyway, and then they'll just get him right. But I still think you need to beat the Raiders. Like, you've got to beat the Raiders this week without Eckler, because if you go to your bye week 1 and 3 in your division, you're done.
Yeah.
And the AFC's too good. Like, that's why we're talking about teams like the Jets. If you go to 1 and 3, you throw 2 first-round picks to the Vikings. Like, the season, the AFC now, though we've seen.
You're gambling. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I do 2. Because, you got Rodgers back next year.
And you got to pay him. And you get Rodgers back, yeah. No, I would actually do 2. I'd give him 1. I'd give him this year's.
I would definitely offer the 1 and hope that they would take it. Or offer the 2 first and then go, we'll give it a 1.
Maybe even do one of those contingent ones where I go, look, we'll guarantee you a first. And then we'll give you next year's 5th. But if we make it to the divisional round, it's a 4th. If we make it to the conference championship, where it can get, I don't
know if they do that.
If we make it to the Super Bowl, you can have 2 first because we won our Super Bowl. We don't give a shit. Like, then it's
I don't know if they'll go that far.
Well, I
don't know if the trade can actually do that.
Can it? I never understood how far.
But I don't think it can actually keep.
Well, I know it can go at least 2 because there was one of the deals the Dolphins did had a scale that moved it up 2 levels, and so the pick ended up going from the 5th to the 3rd.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember. I think it was the Tunsil deal or something. But 2 might be the highest you can go. So maybe you go, hey, we'll give you a 1 and a 3, and if we win the Super Bowl, it becomes 2 1s. Because if you're the Jets, you win the Super Bowl, you can do shit. You can have the next 10 1s. We got a Super Bowl finally.
Yeah, but what do you do with Aaron Rodgers? You just won a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins is a free agent.
You give up your first round pick next year and the year after, and then you just let him walk.
Well, you can trade Aaron Rodgers. I mean, you're not in a first round pick, Pat, but you trade Aaron Rodgers.
Right. Back on topic.
Back to it.
Raiders and Chargers.
Raiders is just largely because it's a battle of the shittiest coaches. Like, these are the 2 possibly.
Like, this is what I want: Chargers to win, and the Raiders to lose out and fire that idiot.
Yes.
He is literally the worst coach that has ever been able to be a coach, and he got his second opportunity.
Can you imagine the crazy part about the Chiefs situation there is you look at the Chiefs and you realize that they're in the division with what might be 3 of the worst coaches in football? Like, we just said we think Sean Payton's bad. We all agree Brandon Staley's bad. We don't like Josh McDaniels.
I don't think Staley is bad. I just don't think he's very good. Josh McDaniels is bad.
Yes, and then you sit there and you're like, I have Andy Reid, a Hall of Famer. Like, the Chiefs are just, none of them want to go anywhere because they know they're going to dominate.
Well, I can tell you this. Based on that, Eric Bieniemy is going to be a head coach next year. Because that Washington offense, even though we've already talked about them, that Washington offense has looked really good.
It's true. I think
Bieniemy
gets
the Chiefs, and we'll talk about the Chiefs later. Well,
yeah,
skip that part.
We will.
Okay.
I will say though, on the name of Bieniemy, if Staley craps the bed and gets fired, would be a pretty good fit.
Yeah.
Because you get that elite level quarterback.
And Las Vegas.
Yeah. If I get to pick, I'm taking the elite quarterback. You give me if I'm Bieniemy and I can interview both,
they'll be picking pretty high together.
Well, true. If you want to control your guy, but if you can walk in to have Justin Herbert, I'm walking in to have Justin Herbert. Yeah. So, all right. So the next game we're going to get into the afternoon slate more would be the Patriots and the Cowboys. Patriots haven't looked terrible. The Cowboys coming off a complete stinker. There's no nice way to put it.
The embarrassment of not the century because what was that? Did you hear that?
Dolphins just scored a good touchdown.
If
it wasn't for the Broncos, the Cowboys would be in a much worse space right now.
Now I will say, missing 2 Hall of Fame offensive linemen and your starting center, that
offensive
did make things
are a problem.
A bigger issue, especially like this was one of the things that I wish we could have talked about because I would have brought it up. Is the Cardinals' defense is very under the radar, really good.
They have looked really good this season.
With Gannon coming over from Philadelphia, having a good defense there, coming here and putting a team out that last year the only person that had over 5 sacks was J.J. Watt. And then the other person had 4 sacks. He's no longer even on the team.
Yeah.
So you have all these young guys that had 2 sacks. So Now you're tied for first in the NFL after 3 weeks with 12 sacks.
Exactly, and
you turn that defense around.
And you got an extra draft pick in the deal
Yeah.
because of the deal with the Texans, and so you have even more ability to bring pieces in.
Yeah.
Honestly, if Gannon can trust, because the OC hasn't looked bad with Dobbs, like their offense hasn't looked bad. If you can fix your relationship with Kyler and get Kyler to be that guy and Kyler go in, that was that one situation where it was okay to kind of hire the defensive guy because of how bad it was.
How did we get on that game?
Because that was the next game after.
Yeah,
we moved. Oh, because we're talking about how bad the Cowboys did to the
Oh,
Cardinals.
that's right.
Yeah. So, with that said, we'll go backwards real quick. We'll get back to
Yeah.
Cowboys Patriots. So, Cowboys definitely were riddled with injuries that week. There were a couple of boneheaded throws. I mean, Dak didn't have the best football game. He threw one pretty bad pass in the red zone.
It's crazy because the offense is so just conservative. It's very just, hey, make this easy throw. Like, there's that throw, make that throw. Like, make your first read and throw it to your first read. If he's not open, then throw it to your second read. Don't read the field. Just give it to your easy guy.
Yeah.
And that's the way the offense is. But when it gets down to the red zone, you can't play that way.
No, you have to be able to make
You have to be able to make reads. And he's not doing that very well. So I looked at this earlier, and this is the crazy stat. Dak has a 67.6% completion percentage in the NFL, which is good.
Yeah.
Like his normal is 66, 68. So he's right in there. Like it's really good. In the red zone, 46.
That's
Because
tight window.
it's that tight window. It's no longer my easy guy like right here from in between the 20s. He is not good. Or I'm sorry, in between the 20s he's good, but after that he is not good.
That could be the problem.
And that's a huge issue with what's going on with their offense. Why they struggled last week and going up against a defense like New England.
Yeah,
if you don't have them offensive dudes back, there's another loss.
Yeah, because you're not able to get Pollard any real running lanes. Like, he hasn't played bad. It's just there hasn't been a lot of running lanes because of the injuries. And that's kind of on Dallas because they knew going into the season that they had an old offensive line. Outside of Tyler Smith, you were bringing in, because what's his name's still hurt, right? Terrence Steele? He's not back yet.
I don't think he is.
I'm going to say Terrence Steele's not back yet. He was your right tackle.
I think Chuma Edoga was playing right tackle while he was hurt.
And so you're down all your offensive line starters. You knew going in that you were overly dependent on guys like, Tyron Smith and Zach Martin. Like, you came into this season kind of knowing this could be your problem.
Yeah.
And I think you thought Cardinals are bad enough that we can win.
Some guys
Yeah.
to have that depth to worry, but they didn't bring any, big name guys.
Yeah, and I think they thought, well, this will be the week that it's kind of like we talked about. There's a week you can sit Burrow and still get a win. I think they thought we could get away with playing with our B team offensive line and beat the Cardinals.
Yeah.
And then you realize that you really can't. Now I don't know how much of the offense is that Dean can dunk because that's how they design it, or how much is it because Dak's scared to make the throw. I mean, I don't know that.
No, well. You heard at the beginning of the season where he said, I guarantee you I'm not going to throw as many interceptions as he did last year. And that's because they're dumbing that, not dumbing, but they're making that offense so conservative that he doesn't have to risk throws.
Yeah.
And that was the problem that he had with Kellen Moore, was he had to throw risky throws, and risky throws is not short, wide open passes.
And he doesn't, I don't think he has and I don't hate Dak. I still think he's better than a lot of guys, but I don't think that he has the arm talent or the arm strength to tight window some of them, and I think that's why we're seeing Herbert exceed like he has this season, because Herbert has that arm talent, that arm ability. Like, if Staley could get fired, and I wouldn't even be shocked if the offense looks good that we see Kellen Moore get his chance at a head coaching job on the basis that look how good the offense has looked.
Yeah.
Like that really could happen. And so it kind of rewrites the narrative though, because all the local media and all this it was all Kellen Moore's fault. This is why the offense was a problem.
I was never that way.
Oh, no, but that's what you hear a lot, on local media and a lot of people.
Yeah, 100%.
And then you hear these people like, oh, Mike McCarthy's taking over. He's going to go back to coaching and calling plays and doing all this. And you realize, well, is Mike McCarthy just Sean Payton because he had Aaron Rodgers? Like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And maybe Sean Payton or Mike McCarthy might have been getting bailed out the last couple of years because he had a good OC.
Yeah.
So it could get interesting to see. I still think Dallas beats New England, but because their defense looked worse than they're capable of.
And that's because
the dig injury
it's because
plays
of the
that.
offense.
Also true.
When your offense can play competent and your defense is as good as it is, your defense is going to be able to do good. Like last week, Dallas's offense looked like the Jets. And that's why their defense struggled, was because their offense looked that bad.
Exactly.
And I think New England's defense is good enough to put them in another situation like that if they're not healthy on the offensive line.
True.
So
that could be
like it could be another situation where you're like, oof.
It is a home game.
Like what is going
too.
on? Like I want them to win, but I mean, New England's it's New England. Like they always have a good defense, no matter what.
That's the thing that I think when we talked about the coaches who can do things without Hall of Fame quarterbacks, the thing that you can separate Belichick from guys like Sean Payton and them is yes, he hasn't won a Super Bowl without Brady, but he's still very Mike Tomlin-like, where he finds a way to win 8 games.
Yeah,
that
is true.
He finds a way to win 8 or 9 games, and so that's my difference in a good coach, is that he can take a bad quarterback and bring them to the next level.
Defensive-minded.
Exactly. He has to depend on offensive coaches, and they won 8 games last year, 7 games, 8 games last year, with no offensive system at all.
Defensive coordinator.
A special team defensive, so that kind of is what separates that debate. So, all right. So going in from that, I think it could be an interesting one. I still would slide to Dallas on being at the home field advantage.
As a Cowboys fan, I'm going to take New England in this. I think the defense is going to be able to mess up the Cowboys' offense, especially since they know the places.
Oh, the whole hands on.
You know what? You know why they came out and said that? So that there could be an excuse on the record.
If Real Greer was stealing our signs, you lost the fucking Real Greer. Stop. All right. So the next game, we talked about the Cardinals and their sneaky good defense and all that. They play the 49ers. They're getting smacked. There's nothing. The 49ers are a buzzsaw right now. Good luck.
And they're healthy on the offensive line, and they're loaded on the offensive line.
They're healthy. The defense is stacked. McCaffrey has scored a touchdown every game since he became a member of the team. Brock Purdy hasn't lost a game that he started and finished. His only loss was the conference championship game in which he got hurt. So do you really count that against him? Because they were winning.
You can't.
So in all honesty, I don't think it's talked about enough that Brock Purdy hasn't lost. And it's not like he's sitting here dinking dunking. The dude threw for 310 and was throwing darts the other day. Yeah. Without Brandon Ayuk. He was making Deebo Samuel ball.
Relevant again.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying.
I say relevant again, like he wasn't relevant last year.
The idea
he just hasn't shown up very much this year.
The idea of the Dolphins playing the 49ers has crossed my brain, though, in a Super Bowl.
That'd be pretty.
It'd be a hell of a ball game, too. So, all right, then we go to the nightcap. There's really not much to talk about the 49ers game.
This is going to be
This would have been a great game to talk about prior to the season, but now...
This was one that everyone was looking forward to. That's why it's a Sunday night game.
The Jets have 6 primetime games this season, if you start from week 1. 6 primetime games that we get to watch Zach Wilson just beat dog crap. So... It is the Chiefs versus the Jets. We've said all night how there's been like 12 teams we've talked about how we could replace Zach Wilson before we even got to this game. It is a home game. KC is going on the road and is a 9.5-point favorite against the Jets. So I will say the crazy part is that the leading receiver for all the teams in this entire game is still Garrett Wilson at 165 yards for both teams.
Is it really?
Yeah, because that's how ESPN sends it. They only post the top stat guy for each team. So the top stat guy at receiver is Garrett Wilson at 165 yards. So Garrett Wilson would have way more than that.
He had a big week too. That's what it was.
He had that one really big catch and run.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't. I think he had 2 catches.
It was against the Cowboys.
Yeah, he had 2 catches, but he had one really long one.
Yeah, he had a 68-yarder. So he had 83 against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So that's why he's up there.
Yeah.
Because Patrick Mahomes spreads that ball around.
Exactly. Mahomes has been hitting everybody, and he's got Travis Kelce back, and Travis Kelce and his. Everything is going on with that guy.
Yeah, everything is going on with that boy.
The Colt, he is now literally...
the Bright City Lights in New York.
Basically dating... Yeah, we're going to the Bright Lights of New York, and he's dating what people are calling a cult following in Swifties. Because the way his numbers skyrocketed in sales, 400% in jersey sales. I listened to their podcast today just to hear them talk about it. Like I spent it, and they did such a great job. They talked about the Eagles game first. Like they didn't bring up Taylor Swift for like 40 minutes into the podcast. It was only an hour-long episode.
So there's a video of Julius Randle, New York Knicks power forward.
Yeah.
There's a video of him and his wife or girlfriend something and she was talking about. She said that Taylor Swift just put this guy Travis Kelce on the map, and he goes, "What'd you just say?
What are you talking about?"
No, she didn't. And she's, "Who is he?" I know who Patrick Mahomes is. If you know who Patrick Mahomes is, you know who Travis Kelce is, because he is the dude.
He's the white dude that runs around and catches everything. So Kelce
he had a show on E. He's been famous.
Yes, I mean their numbers on their podcast are probably going to blow up this week.
Yeah.
I mean, but they deserve it. Like, if there's any two people, like the Kelce dudes are. I watched the Kelce documentary, the 1 year following thing they did for Jason.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen it on Amazon Prime.
Amazon, yeah.
It's really good. The star of the entire thing is Jason Kelce's wife. She is amazing. And then they brought her on their show and they interviewed her. She's hilarious. That whole family is just, they're winning at life. Like, they're just they're great people. Like, I don't hate, I have no ill will towards the Eagles, I never have, but it makes me root more for the Eagles because I'm like, I want Jason Kelce to get another one. For all that is right, like,
God, no.
I want Jason Kelce to
not.
get to walk out on top because watching him cry, like watching him lose the Super Bowl, because they showed the close-up of him losing, and they see him walk up to his daughter, and his daughter's like, "We didn't want Uncle Travie to win." And she goes, "No, honey, we always want Uncle Travie to do good." And it's like, in that moment, it's like, I'd have been like, "Man, fuck my brother." He's like, no. Takes a moment to stop, put it aside his feelings, and tell his daughter, "No, we always will support your uncle and our family." Like, it's just like, he's just that 5-star human.
They had a good one the other day about, or maybe it wasn't the other day, it might have been older, but I saw it the other day. It was about naming players that were what house they were in Harry Potter.
Oh my god, I have to go find that. That'd be great.
Like Gryffindor and stuff. And every time Travis would mention an Eagles player, he'd go, "Oh, Gryffindor." He goes, "You can't do that." He goes, "Quit asking me about my teammates. They're all Gryffindor."
All my Eagles are Gryffindors. We are Gryffindor.
And then he goes, "Tony Romo, Slytherin." And he was like, "Really?" He goes, "He's a Dallas Cowboy. Anybody that's a Dallas Cowboy is Slytherin." He goes, "Oh my goodness."
You should have thrown T.O. at him. Played for both. What are you going to do? All right.
Probably Slytherin.
So, that said, we'll slide into the Monday
by the way,
night.
Kansas City's going to walk away.
Oh, yeah. We're not really worried about the game. We just like the storyline. We're really more worried about Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, clearly. All right. So, the Monday night game you get into, the Seahawks-Giants. Seahawks, after week 1 stinker, have kind of bounced back. They're looking more like the team. I think it shouldn't be a problem. They are going to go to New York. The line's even money, so it's a pick-up.
Giants' defense is terrible.
Yeah, the Giants' defense just isn't there.
Seattle's defense hasn't...
but they've also dealt with injuries. You've got... Woolen's been out. He's coming back, I think, or he might be back next week.
I think he's back.
Jamal Adams is supposed to be making his debut this week, so the Seahawks are about to get a little bit of reinforcement.
Yeah.
Jamal Adams has been out for a while now because of injury, but we forget what dynamics he can bring. Like, he might not be the 5-star coverage as a safety, but what he does in the pass rushing game, in the coverage.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're talking about the dude that had 10 sacks as a safety.
Hey, by the way, Ravens safety Kyle Hamilton, he tied Jamal Adams for most sacks by a safety in a game.
No, did he see? Yeah. So there we go. So it's kind of becoming a more popular thing to have that safety that can cover like a tight end and zoom after a quarterback. Yeah. Any way you can hit the quarterback is a win. Yeah. And that's kind of what we're doing there. But I think the Seahawks take it. I don't think we have to worry. There's not much to talk about on that game, I would say.
I don't think so. I mean,
it'll be an okay Monday night game.
I mean, you're not going to have the star for New York, and their defense hasn't looked good. So it's not really anything that I'm going, the Giants. Daniel
Jones had him a decent game week 2. Like, the comeback in the second half was all right. Like, I just don't. They still don't have any weapons. Like, after Darren Waller's an all right guy, but I don't think that you can center your whole offense around Darren Waller because at any moment he's going to lose his hamstring anyway. And you've got Barkley down. The receivers outside, we haven't even heard Jalen Hyatt's name.
Like, I think he's only got like 2 catches this season.
Yeah, you've not seen anything out of him.
But then again, I mean, JSN has only got like 3.
Well, true. And JSN, there was a stat that said JSN leads the league in separation yardage from his opponent. It hasn't caught balls. So that's kind of on Gino for not finding the target.
And, so I'll say this. one of the big things about it is the fact that because the tackles are down, they're running a lot of 2 tight end sets.
This is also
so he plays a slot, and since they're running those 2 tight end sets, he's not on the field a lot.
Yeah, because you're not going to take Tyler Lockett's still proven that he's
the only way he's going to see the field
guy.
with a big share of time on the field is if DK or Lockett get hurt. That's the only way he's going to see the field because they're and especially with how it's running now.
The injuries, right?
Like and because Pete Carroll he loves the running game.
He does.
Like
Charbonnet
the way that it's running.
Kenneth Walker are looking good right now.
And they get them tackles back. I wouldn't be shocked if they stayed with a lot of 2 tight end sets because it's working and they're getting a lot of rushing yards out of it. So, like, I would not be shocked if JSN just doesn't have a great rookie year just because of that.
Then that kind of runs the college NFL slate. So now we go to a little bit of a college kickoff here. Some decent games this week. We obviously won't hit on every college game like we do in the NFL.
Yeah.
NFL's a little bigger, but starting Friday night, you get Utah versus Oregon State. I mean, that's a pair of ranked opponents. Oregon State is coming off the loss to conference rival that was undefeated. They lost last week. Where are they? To Washington State, who's looked good in their own right. Let's say this: the Pac-12 for blowing up in the last few weeks has looked good as a football conference.
It has.
Let's take away the Colorado thumping that they took last week. I'll say this: I think Oregon's a better football team than USC, so I think we're about to see a better game this week. When USC plays, I think USC has a better quarterback, but I think Oregon's defense is pretty solid.
Yeah,
that defense is. Yes. I don't think it gets enough credit for how good that defense is because their pass rush looked. I mean, yes. The O-line for the Colorado team is awful. And we knew it was bad. Line. Yeah, we knew that offensive line was bad in the first place, and their defense isn't very good. But that pass rush was still getting home. I mean, Sanders didn't have a chance in hell, poor kid. So that'll be a fun game on Friday night.
No, USC they have a Big 12 defense because Lincoln Riley is the head coach.
Yeah, very true.
They're very Big 12,
and so it's gonna come down to offense. I think that we'll see I really think we could see a shootout. Like, we could see that level of game. The other thing you need to see is some of the other Colorado receivers need to be better at catching the ball. Jimmy Horn's had some drops. There's a couple of guys that need to do it. So that'll be a fun game, though. I think Utah takes it. I think Utah's always really good. Like, the end of the season, we always look down and go, motherfucker, Utah's 11-0? Like, they might be in the national championship picture here. And so that'll be a fun one. Then you roll into Saturday. I'm not going to go by timestamps here unless you want to. I mean,
no.
The early game would be USC Colorado. I think that is college game day because of this Sanders versus.
Yeah.
So I think the home field thing will help make the game closer. A 21.5-point spread is intense, though. I don't know that USC covers a 3-touchdown spread.
Well, I mean,
that's 3 touchdowns and a field goal. On the
I'm
basis that Colorado's offense, I think, could bounce back from
I'm gonna say
that performance.
Okay. I think they will. I think Colorado is good, but I don't think they're close to.
No, they're not ready to compete. I think they're still losing this game. I just don't know if they lose by 28. Like, I think it's a more respectable margin of loss.
I don't know.
You don't think
USC's going to do the whole Oregon thing. Like, they're going to take disrespect to all the hype that Deion's getting.
And it's sad because the hype he's getting is just because he's doing good coaching.
Yeah.
It's like he's being a genuinely good coach. You want to see him
it's also
be
because all the every speech he does is being generated and pushed everywhere constantly.
And he already had that media following prior to getting this coaching stuff.
So there's a lot of extra stuff, and a lot of the coaches are like kind of against it in a way.
Yeah.
Like, so I can see them taking a lot of the stuff that he's doing kind of personal, just because it's very new. It's
very true. Yeah. So then we run in. You got LSU, Ole Miss. LSU has looked better. Played a close one against Arkansas. They always play close with Arkansas. That's a conference rival game.
Yeah.
The offense is looking a lot better. Daniels is looking better than he did week 1. Malik Neighbors, as soon as we hear Marvin Harrison Jr.'s name come off the board, be ready to hear Malik Neighbors come next.
100%.
Because that man is
that's
baller.
Where he is on my list.
Is it? Yeah, he's going to be, like, I'm watching all my Dynasty fantasy leagues, and I'm going, all right, so I'm not going to get Harrison Jr., but your boy's getting Malik Neighbors. So definitely something to watch there. I think Florida-Kentucky is a sleeper game to watch. You got Travis Etienne's brother playing for Florida. Florida's looked pretty good. They're 22nd in the nation now. Kentucky, 4-0. Fun fact, because I said Kentucky. Kentucky, Kansas, Duke, North Carolina.
They're all ranked.
They're all undefeated. This ain't basketball season, boys. You still got a month. But if I told you that was the Final Four, you'd say March Madness.
Yeah.
I've seen it hundreds of times. No, right now that's a pacing Final Four. So, Kentucky though, it is a home game for Kentucky. Florida's getting a little bit of love on the as the road dog, so that'll be interesting there. Georgia plays Auburn. Georgia doesn't look like they're showing any signs of slowing down, so nothing really there. Michigan will handle business. Kansas versus Texas. I think this is the best game. Expect even as a home game. I think that this is the best.
Kansas always does good against Texas.
They do, and Kansas has looked really good. Daniels has played some solid football. Like their defense hasn't looked bad. Like I would a 16.5 point spread. I'm not covering that. Like I'm betting Kansas in the points. I'll take 16 points. If Texas probably wins the game. But I don't know. I don't see them going out there and handling business.
I can kind of agree with you because Kansas always play, and as a Longhorn fan, Texas never. I mean, it's probably been maybe 5+ years since Texas has played Kansas and handled them.
Well, and you have to factor in that this is the week before the OU game. So how much of the game, how much of your attention, like you can't pull your attention from Kansas to get ready for Oklahoma. But you know those at the end of the day, that's always been that you kind of circle that day. You're a week away from it, so kind of wonder if that decision or that thought process gets in anybody's mind.
Okay.
What's that?
So keep looking at games. I'm gonna look at this.
Oregon will run into Stanford and they'll destroy them. Oklahoma plays Iowa State. It's in Oklahoma. I don't think Oklahoma has to worry, but Oklahoma's played every game close. So we'll see how that goes. Another fun one, we talked about Duke being undefeated. Well, Duke plays Notre Dame, who's 4-1. Notre Dame should have won the football game. Notre Dame played a pretty decent football game.
I might have lied.
You might have lied?
Yeah.
About Kansas? Or
So, Texas won 50-48 in 2019.
Yeah.
They lost 56-57 in 21.
Yeah, there's been some close ones.
Oh, okay. No, last year they 55-14. So they handled them last year. So okay, never mind. Erase what I might.
Not a full erase though, because in the last 2 of the 3 have been close. You did.
Yeah.
So now that said, let's see. Duke Notre Dame though. Notre Dame should have won that football game. I mean, they had the game in their hand. Poor coaching. How do you not have a full team on the field for 2 plays on the biggest stop of the game, and you stopped them? Like you held them with 10 guys. That proves you probably would have won the damn game. So. Bad coaching on Notre Dame. Duke has looked very good. I just don't know that they beat Notre Dame, and I'm not a Notre Dame guy. I've never been a Notre Dame guy.
Yeah.
The love Notre Dame gets has always annoyed the shit out of me. They're always like, we're not even in a conference because we're better than you. Like, shut the fuck up. So, South Carolina, Tennessee, that could be a good one. I'll say this. Spencer Rattler has looked like the quarterback he was supposed to be at Oklahoma.
Yep.
He's got the 2nd highest QBR this season in the SEC.
He's definitely helped his draft stock.
He has. I think he's going to be a guy that'll. I'm not saying he goes and becomes an NFL talent regularly.
He'll be a
4th round pick, 5th round pick.
No, I think he was around 6th round at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
With how good he's looked, I think he's pushed himself into at least the 3rd round.
Okay.
Right now.
And that's a lot of that's just because quarterbacks get a lot of valuing. So that could get him drafted higher. He'll likely be a backup guy that maybe sees a shot, and if he takes advantage of it, great. But it still goes to the story of there's a lot of very good quarterbacks in this draft. Like guys that even counting some of the ages and things. So you've got Alabama plays Mississippi State. They should handle business. Even as ugly as Alabama looked, they should still be able to handle that.
Yeah, Milroe was... Yeah, so what I read was the offensive coordinator for Alabama is... He wants to use him as a pocket quarterback.
Yes.
Like he's in the pocket 64% of the time.
Yes.
Even though he shouldn't be.
They're trying to use Milroy like they did Bryce Young, like they did Tua, and they kind of need to use him. And I hate to say this because I'm sure the kid can throw, but he probably needs to be treated more like they did Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Where Jalen Hurts got shafted being in Alabama. He never got a chance to prove what he could be. Jalen Hurts was at Oklahoma his entire career. He probably goes in the first round.
Probably. He probably was in top 10.
I mean, that's simple. And so, going to Alabama, Alabama has been so successful with that pocket passing style and then the ground and pound. I think they thought they could just keep doing that.
Yeah.
And when you have a guy that's a freak athlete, let him be a freak athlete. It's very Chicago Bears-like.
Yeah.
You're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. It's not going to work. So, I still think they win because the rest of the roster is just that much better than what Mississippi State's going to run out. But
yeah.
The last game really worth even talking about would be Washington, Arizona. Arizona's always a decent little squad. It is a home game, but Washington has been ridiculous. Penix is a guy that's played his draft stock. I know you don't like it.
He ain't played nobody yet.
1,636
This is
yards.
the first game that he's actually going to play somebody.
This is true.
They haven't played any.
Because Michigan State's turmoil, Tulsa, Boise State's They play Cal, so you're right. They haven't really this week and then next week, or not next week, in 2 weeks when they play Oregon. That'll be a good one. And then this is where their schedule gets fun. USC, Utah, Oregon State, Washington State are their last 4 games. Yeah. We'll find out if they beat Oregon. We're gonna go. Okay, they might be real.
Yeah.
Then you have 2 easy ones. If you get through those 4 games, boy, I ain't gonna argue with you now.
And my thing about Penix is he's just got too many injuries. Yeah. So it doesn't matter how good he's going to do, he's not going to be a first rounder because of his injury history. They're going to look at that and they're going to go.
No, he'll be if he can play his way into a second or third round, that's what he's kind of trying to do. Because he's an older quarterback too, isn't he? He's like 24 now.
24, 25.
Yeah.
Well, they're not really caring about that right now.
Well, that's true. They're not.
We
watched him take Burrow 1 and he was already 24. So, all right. Well, that said, we'll go into we'll hit on it here. We want to go breaking news or playoff race. Because the breaking news of the day...
Oh, yeah. Let's go breaking news.
So the breaking news of the day is going to be the Damian Lillard trade.
Yeah.
I think... I'm obviously, I don't know how it's going to go as far as re-signing with him. He does love Giannis. Like, it's well known that he likes Giannis. Props to the Bucks to get that legitimate guy. Because now Chris Middleton's your 3rd best player.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn nasty.
Yeah.
Bobby Portis is your 4th best player. And then Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez kind of split the day as a 4th guy that can spread it. But here's the problem. You ain't got nothing. There is nothing on that bench. You are actually depending on...
That's what all these people do now.
I know. But, like, honestly, of anybody that won the trade, Phoenix. Motherfucker. Grayson Allen, he might be a little dirty, but the dude can ball.
Yeah.
And he's coming off the bench for that team. They needed a bench guy. They've got a full level of starters. Yusuf Nurkic, the only problem with Yusuf Nurkic is he's an injury guy. But Nurkic was an all-star candidate at one point playing for the Portland Blazers. So, like, if he goes in and just plays defense and rebounds on that team, he's going to be a solid guy in the middle. Like, we're all just glazing over the fact, yes, the Bucks have a great starting 5, but damn it, the fucking Suns are better, and I hate it.
That is true.
Nasir Little.
And I know you hate
Nasir Little's another guy that's a solid player off the bench. Like, I don't like Durant. I don't like Devin Booker. On default, I don't know that I like Bradley Beal even now. Like, he just kind of fell into that clump of crap. I'm just looking at him, though, and I'm just like, God dang. Like, there's so much of... Like, they end up getting... Oh, and Keon Johnson, another guy that's not a solid role player. So that's who's going to Phoenix. Yeah, but he's a young guy that has some talent there, assuming. Because of the first round pick.
Yeah.
All right, but the other Portland gets Drew Holiday. The saddest part about this whole thing was that yesterday Drew Holiday was interviewed and they asked him, and I'm going to read this word for word as I load it up here. In the words of Drew Holiday, "I'm a Buck for life, and I mean that like deep in my heart. I don't ever want to play for any other team." And then he was traded the next day.
Yeah.
That sucks. Now, Portland's already said, we don't expect to be a contender, and we're trading him. Like, they've already said he's on the block. We're looking to move him.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
that already came out. Damian Lillard, though, I never thought he was a great rapper anyway, but his new song came out, and it crapped all over Portland. Like, I'm gotta be honest, I kind of lost respect for him. Like, if you wanted to get out of there, fine. Get out of there. But as much as that organization did for you as a player, even still, give them some dignity because they'll never replace me. Come on, bro. You straight shot at Scoot Henderson there. Like, there was the other line of
you're
the
33 years old.
Yes, the
Come
situation's
on,
better now than it was when I got there.
I mean,
they were terrible. You were picked in the first round lottery for a reason. Like, that's going to be part of it. There were some other, there's other NBA things that have been going on, just, not tons of stuff NBA, but like that was really you want to call it out, you want to talk about it. Do you think Giannis, I'll say this, they did a good job putting shooters around Giannis.
Yes.
I am curious how they do, because Giannis wasn't a bad down court kick out guy. And now you've got 4 guys around him in Middleton, Portis, and guys like that that can knock a shot down. So they're the favorite to win the title now, according to Vegas. They jumped from 4th to 1st.
Really?
On that
Well,
trip.
I mean, I kind of get it.
I get it too.
It's a strong
well, especially because Damian Lillard in the playoffs has proven to be a successful player. Like, he does have that. Yeah. He's got that it in the playoffs. So it'll be interesting. It's another guy going to the East. So the Eastern Conference gets, getting Damian Lillard.
Yeah, okay. No, I mean, the Eastern Conference needed to get a little bit stronger.
It did. The East is kind of starting to waver.
It was turning into, it's basically turning into
what the NBA was 5 years ago, where the West
went through, and like what Jordan played through in the finals. So it was when Jordan was in the NBA, it was what the Western Conference was.
Yeah.
So it sucks. Like it's not good. Like that's why they had to quit doing the All-Star game.
Top heavy.
That's why they had to stop doing the East versus West because everyone was over in the West.
Yeah, and then the Eastern Conference is super top heavy. Like it was 4 teams that you genuinely thought had a chance.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be that. I mean, there are teams reporting to camp. I think Kawhi and the Clippers and all them started reporting today. I mean, we're a month out from NBA action. Like, opening night of the NBA, I believe, is the same night I renew my wedding vows. So
wow.
It's around the corner. Like, that's the first night that Damian Lillard plays in Milwaukee. I know that. So it seems like the NBA season hasn't been gone that long, but it's coming. So be ready. Like I said, we'll probably see more moves. We're probably going to see Drew Holiday get moved in the next couple of days. If you're the Miami Heat, do you feel like that team's ready to win now? Because you spent all summer thinking you were going to go get Damian Lillard, you didn't get him. So what confidence is that putting guys like Tyler Hero, who you needed to take the next step? Like, what does that do for that team? Like, that'll be interesting. So kind of look and see how they do there. Oh, and the Warriors bring in another old veteran that used to be really good. They signed Rudy Gay. I don't even know that he plays, but
he'll be a bench guy.
He's on the team right now. Yeah. So, all right. So with that said, we'll move in to the Fall Classics action here. We are a week away. We got 1 week left in Major League Baseball season. The AL East still hasn't had a division winner yet. It looks like it's going to be the Orioles. I think it's 5 or 6 games left. They've got a 2.5 game lead. You're probably going to have 2 100-game winners there. I'll say this, it's worth noting the Yankees will finish above 500, it looks like. Considering they hadn't not done that since like 1998 or whatever. Like that streak stays alive.
Yeah, okay.
This is the first time since like the early 90s that we had no Yankees, Cardinals, or Red Sox in the playoff. Now that's mostly because the Yankees haven't missed the playoffs since whatever. So that'll be interesting. The Twins, they already wrapped up that on the AL Central. Terry Francona did announce that he's retiring. So no more Terry Francona. He's going to retire as a Cleveland Guardian. Probably one of the best seasons. Probably not the way
you got it right on the first go. What?
I got it right. I was reading it. He's gonna go out though. He is definitely the players' manager. It's hard to believe that he's been with them for 11 seasons.
Yeah, it is.
Like, considering I think of him and I go to the Red Sox. It's not gonna go away. But he has been with them for 11 seasons. So good on him. It'll be nice to see him go away. End of the day, off in the sunlight instead eventually, but. The Braves have been scuffling lately. A lot of injuries going on there. A lot of injuries for the powerhouse teams of the National League. That wild card is still up for grabs there. You've got Cubs, Reds, Marlins, Diamondbacks all fighting for that last spot. Padres aren't eliminated yet. I don't know. Did you see the thing? Yeah, they're not eliminated yet. They're
19.5 back.
The Padres are only 6 back, or they're 4 back of the wild card.
That
last wild card.
Okay.
But here's the crazy part: 2023 Padres. I posted this on our Facebook page, but a batter with 125 walks, Juan Soto. A batter with 25 home runs and 25 stolen bases, Fernando Tatis. A starter with 200 strikeouts and a sub-2.5 ERA, Snell. He might be your NL NL Cy Young. A reliever with 75 strikeouts and a 1.50 ERA, Josh Hader, one of the best closers in baseball, who did owe the team the other day when he refused to go in.
Sure did.
No other team in MLB history has had more than 2 of these accomplishments on their team in one season. And they had 4 guys do it, and they're still 2 games below 500.
Yeah.
It tells you how poor Machado played. It tells you how poor other guys that just did not maintain what they were expecting to get. They were an older pitching staff. I think that was part of that problem. Guys like Darvish being dependent on it, 39, 40 years old. So definitely a team that there's going to have to be some figuring out there. If they underachieved. You should have been better than that. But hopefully the Cubbies can get in. I think we're a half game up on the wild card right now. We're 1 game up because the Marlins lost the first half of a doubleheader today to the Mets because the Mets were talking about trading Pete Alonso, and he hit his 46th home run this season. So if anyone needs a power hitting righty, Polar Bear might be on the market. I'll say this, the guy that didn't cash out on the Reds leading their division, he should have. He's an idiot for not, because they never were going to win that division.
Yeah.
He's going to lose that bet now, and he could have cashed out for like $5,000 if he would have cashed out when they had the lead. But here's the thing about the top 4 teams in the American League wild card all have positive run differentials. That's the Rays, Blue Jays, and Astros and Mariners. The top 5 teams, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The top 6 teams in the National League that are still eligible to make it, 4 of them have a negative run differentials, one of them being the Cincinnati Reds. If you don't score more runs than you give up, you ain't going to win your division. Like, the Cubs are plus 100. The Phillies are plus 82. The Padres are plus 94. Padres have just been a weird story of today the pitching works, tomorrow the offense works. Like, that's their problem. But I think the Cubs are going to be okay, but the Diamondbacks are right there doing pretty solid. They've got a kid in there that's on that team that could be a Rookie of the Year candidate themselves in Corbin Carroll.
They're -4 differential.
Yep, and they're a
That's
-4
crazy.
run differential. Like, there's a lot of teams that don't score runs. Hell, the Twins are the only team in their division with a plus run differential. That said, every team that won their division has a plus run differential, most of which are triple digits. I think there's one. Yeah, the Brewers have a worse run differential than the Cubs, and they won that division.
Oh yeah, sure did. Wow.
So, and that's because the Cubs are probably still a year ahead. I think the Cubs will be better next year, especially when we go all in for Ohtani. I heard it here first. But that said, it'll be a fun race. Keeping an eye on it, getting them close in. We'll have wild card games going probably at the same time that we're filming come next week. Like, that'll be wild card games turn around and they start like the 3rd. Like, they're not playing games, so we'll really get into the action and get going from there. So
yeah, that West division is tight though.
It is. The
AL
AL
West
West
division is tight.
The AL West is super tight. Rangers have a 2.5 game lead. They did take a loss last night. I'm not sure scores right now.
1-0 Texas over the Angels and 1-0 Mariners over the Astros.
Freaking Cubs are down to about to lose the damn game.
And so, yeah, you got that.
I think
the good thing about the loss last night, the one takeaway that I feel good about is that even though Texas lost, so did Houston.
This is true.
So that kept that difference still down, but it helped Seattle move.
Well, the thing that's people are like, because of how the playoffs fall now and how matchups line up, the Rangers actually have a higher chance to make the World Series in the American League than any other team.
Really?
Yeah, they have, by Vegas right now, they're given a higher odds to make the World Series than any other American League team because of how the playoff structure falls. The number 1 team would have to run into a wild card leader, not a division leader, and so the Rangers might run into the Twins, whereas the Orioles would have to run into the Rays, and just because of strength of opponent, you kind of have a better odds of the Rangers. That said, the Rangers biggest X factor in this season has not been Corey Seager. It has not been any of these guys that have been pitching. The Texas Rangers need Josh Young to go.
Yeah.
Because the Rangers without Corey Seager are like 3 games. It's like right around 500. The Rangers without Josh Young in the stint that he missed was like 12 games below 500. Like, for a rookie, that tells you what he's bringing to the locker room, what he's bringing to the dugout. Now, the Rangers dealt with a plethora of injuries. They lost Young, Heim, Adolis, Scherzer, which hasn't been ruled out in the playoffs now. There's talks that he could be on the mound. He's a dog, too. Like, he's one of those guys that he's like, it hurts a little, I'm okay. Like, so you've got him. You've got, obviously, Nathan Eovaldi hasn't looked the same since he came back. John Gray's kind of fallen off a cliff. The starting rotation hasn't been the best. The bullpens look better the last couple of weeks, though. The last about week and a half, we've seen Chapman's looked a little bit better. What's the other kid that they thought could be the closer? I got to remember his name, but I'm going to have to click on on the roster here to try to find it because it's going to drive me nuts. I believe it starts with an I. Of course, they only show... Oh, there's pictures. Jose Leclerc.
What's that?
Jose Leclerc. He's
Leclerc.
Yeah.
So it doesn't start with an I.
So he's starting to look better. Jordan Montgomery's still been okay. You've got Martin Perez coming out of that bullpen. I don't know that you'll see Scherzer come back and pitch as a starter, but if he's able to throw and you get to that first round of the playoffs, because you're still talking a week and a half or 2 weeks away. If they think he can come out and throw 1 inning in relief, you can't turn that down.
Right.
I mean, he's such a dog. Like he might be your closer in the playoffs. Like if he could do it. Like, and exactly. So it'll really and truly for the Rangers though. It's all going to come down to it's all going to come down to how that bullpen holds. I think their offense is stupid. If Corey Seager hadn't missed 40 games and been in the same division, if Corey Seager's in the National League, he's in the debate with Acuna and Mookie Betts as a potential NL MVP. But because he's in the American League and he has to deal with the freak that is Shohei Ohtani, like that award's been a wrap since July. Like Ohtani probably could have stopped playing in July.
Probably.
But that and Seager missing 40 games due to injury, which is no different than what he did when he was a Dodger. That's why the Dodgers didn't bring him back. They didn't want to pay him because he was constantly the nagging injury guy. But he's damn good when he's on the field.
Yeah.
Adolis has come back and just not missed a beat since he got it almost seems like
El
Adolis,
Bombi, baby.
It almost feels like him getting hurt was a blessing in disguise because he got some days off. Because when he came back, like he just started roaring. And then the other thing is Evan Carter.
Dude.
The rookies across Major League Baseball, the rookies that have busted in the last 6 months and just been ridiculous. Evan Carter is another one of those guys who Leody Taveras started out hot. You got to keep Leody in the offense. You got to leave him going. But Evan Carter shows up and he's played in 10 games? Is it 10 games?
I think so.
Yeah, he's hitting .319, 4 home runs, and 10 RBIs. Like,
my goodness,
the kid's putting him up. Like, you've got solid depth behind him in Travis Jankowski and Robbie Grossman. Like, Taveras and Evan Carter with Adolis, like that's not a bad defensive outfield. Adolis isn't a 5-star glove, but he has a cannon. Like he ain't gonna run on him.
He got an arm.
Yeah, so
that boy's got an arm.
It'll be a fun race. We'll keep an eye on it. It'll all wrap up by this weekend. Like we're midway through the second set of series. We'll be into the final set of series in the next couple of days. So it'll be on our Facebook page. We'll be sharing, who wins the division, who's getting in. I share as soon as someone clinches, all that fun stuff. So. Other than that, the only other sport really thing going on is that Messi's hurt and missing a big game.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, apparently he's been pulled out of or missed the last 12 games. Like he's had to come out because of a hamstring.
Oh, wow.
Apparently this hamstring thing is a common occurrence to him, but they've managed it very well with the European teams, and the American teams need to figure out how to manage it. Like apparently this was a problem when he first got to PSG also, kind of adjusting how to accommodate it where you don't overuse him. So, but the difference is at PSG, you can let him take a play off in the middle of a game. you can't do that for Inter Miami because you need him to be like LeBron and Michael every game.
Yeah.
To have a shot.
So LeBron and Michael every game. You mean Michael every game?
You need to be both of them.
Because
LeBron
LeBron
Inter Miami
in the game.
is that bad. You need him to be both of them and one. Like,
I'm just saying LeBron doesn't play every game.
Well,
he's like Messi now.
Well, 38 he is, yeah.
No, he's never been a full season.
Oh, he was the first 10 years with Cleveland, and maybe the Miami is when they first started really doing that, but with Cleveland he was playing all the time. The dude still played more minutes than anyone that's ever played.
So let's
you can go look at how many games LeBron
because I already know he's never played a full season. Pretty close. So it wasn't until his second stint in Cleveland is when he started playing fewer, and then once he got to LA is his fewest.
Yeah, but by the time his second stint in Cleveland came, he was 32, 33?
30.
He was 30 when he got to Cleveland's second stint. Okay, and he spent 4 years there the second time. And now he's been with the Lakers going on 4 years. So that's what puts him at 38, 30. He's 39. Fifth year with the Lakers.
This is fifth year.
God, he's been Lakers for 5 years already.
Yeah.
Yeah, so because he turns 39 this season.
But he's never played. He's never played 82 games.
Yeah. On another LeBron note, not really.
But
LeBron
that's
note.
now that I look at that, it's not near as bad as I was thinking. So
on another LeBron note, that's not really a LeBron note. They do think Bronny might be able to play this season, but I think now they're saying he doesn't come out. Because of the condition that, like the last mock thing that I looked at didn't have Bronny James on it at all. So I hope for his sake, take away anything outside feelings about fathers or any of that stuff. Like I hope for the sake of the kid that he gets to play the game he loves, because we all wish we could play it one more time.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that be the end for him, for anybody. So hopefully that gets taken care of there. Not really a ton of other stuff though. I think that.
No, you started any of the Star Wars stuff yet?
Not at any time. I've been so slammed. I will probably work some when we get off here. I've got property transitions going on. They've been.
Ahsoka has been amazing.
I've heard it's really good. I want to watch it. I really do. But I know that I've also got to watch the other show.
You don't have to.
I don't. So I can watch Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And not, all right. Well, then I'm sure.
You're just not going to understand what people that have watched all that other stuff.
So okay.
Yeah.
So
when these new characters pop up, all the people that have watched all this other stuff, they're like, "Oh my God, there he is!" Like you're not going to get that reaction.
Yeah.
You're going to go, "Who was that guy?" Or who is that girl? I don't know who that is.
Gotcha.
And that's basically it. But you're not going to be. It's not going to be one of those things where you're like, well, are they going to explain who that is, or like they're going to tell you who it is, and you're going to know.
Okay.
It's just you're not going to get that reaction of knowing who they were before and now seeing them on the screen instead of just animation.
Okay. Cool.
So that's the only thing you're going to miss out.
I did watch a fun little snippet thing about the whole Anakin and getting married to Padme, and how that was like his peak of being in the moment, and then being married, like, and having to hide it was the hiding of being married is what really started triggering the turn to the dark side. Yes, Obi-Wan wasn't perfect because Obi-Wan wasn't as supportive as he could have been, but
now you need to go watch Clone Wars.
Yeah, like
it gets a lot more into that stuff.
Yeah, and like they basically said that the thing that like their version of the rings was that, and I guess I never thought about it when I watched Star Wars, but their version of the rings was that they traded the droids.
Mm-hmm.
That Anakin started taking R2 everywhere, and she had a C-3PO. I was like, well, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, because it's a subtle trade-off that nobody's really going to think about, because he does fly a lot of planes. So you think that R2 makes more sense with him.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, that makes sense. And then you look at it and you go, oh shit. And then whenever everything goes to shit on that last fight scene, like he tells R2 stay with the plane. Like that was him leaving Padme behind and saying, no, I've done it. I've lost it. I'm off the rails. So that was a pretty cool.
You watching that? You have to watch Clone Wars now.
Oh,
because
shit. I just gave myself more homework.
Because Clone Wars does go a lot more into because what the movies miss, Clone Wars fills in.
Yeah, that's what
it shows everything that goes on in between the episodes, and you're watching him slowly and slowly turn and turn before he finally turns over.
Gotcha.
Like,
okay.
So it's to me,
which would be so sad
for
to
a
watch
Star
someone
Wars
knowing
fan,
where they're gonna end.
Yeah. So like a Star Wars fan would love that because it honestly it does the justice of what you always wanted. You wanted more answers.
Yeah,
to
because the
question,
movies, that's
and
the
they
big
give
flaw of
you
the Star Wars
so
movies
much.
is that every one of them is like a 5-year jump.
Yeah.
Like, there's a gap between all of them,
Yeah.
so that makes sense.
So this does a great job of answering those.
Well, I'll
and
have
then,
to do
and
it.
then Rebels is something totally new, which it brings. So in Clone Wars, you get introduced to Ahsoka, a young Ahsoka, and then in Rebels, it's takes place after Order 66 happens, which you know that is right.
Yeah,
that's okay.
That's when the clones turn.
Yeah, and so Star Wars Rebels takes place after that, and that's where Ahsoka is older. She's no longer part of the Jedi because Jedi is dead.
Yeah,
And
she's in hiding with everyone
yeah.
else essentially.
Kind of. You get more of an answer on that in Clone Wars. I don't want to give that away.
Okay.
But actually, they may answer that in the show. But yeah, so she's not part of the Jedi anymore, and she's ends up helping this group of people that in Ahsoka the movie or the show you get to meet, and you're like, you see the people and you're like, oh man, that's awesome. Like there's even a part in episode 1 where it's a mural of the characters as the animation.
Oh,
and you're just like, oh man, that's such a good touch.
And they're doing cool.
That's such a good
drops and
touch.
stuff. All right. I'll definitely. I think I've heard Clone Wars a lot, so I probably need to give that one a go.
Clone Wars is good, man. It's really good. Like a lot of people want to crap on it because it's animation and it looks like it's for kids.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Oh,
like I mean, it's a kiddish.
Some of the best Justice League stuff ever was cartoon.
Yeah.
Like some of the best Justice
I
League
honestly
stuff.
think people need to give it. If they haven't watched it, they need to give it a shot because it's so good.
Yeah, I'll have to give it a go then. But with that kind of wraps it up. We didn't go nearly as long as we did last time, but we went a little long. So we'll peace, everybody. Oh no, now that we brought it in on the topic of the animations and all that.